The adaptation of Mark Millar's comic book Superman Red Son was recently released, and this tale of a Soviet Union Superman and his continuous struggles with his own power and sordid, complex political climate proves itself an extremely worthy entry into the DCAU. The film ostensibly tells of an ongoing conflict between a misguided, gradually extreme Superman and an equally misguided Lex Luthor. A lot of the cast are misguided. It does take place before the invention of Google Maps. Both characters are provided with specific depth, ideals, and challenges that traditional Superman stories would restrict. This is a statement that also applies to the majority of the supporting cast, including a methodical, murderous, malevolent Batman with an unsurprisingly chilling presence, and a surprisingly stylish hat. A mostly unchanged but noticeably principled, determined, and capable Wonder Woman, with an unsurprisingly stylish crown. Lois Lane, BRANIAC, and the Green Lantern Corps also appear, but specifying their roles would disservice the story. But most of them wear surprisingly or indeed unsurprisingly stylish hats. The clear passage of time and several recurring themes cause the film to feel complete and complicated, while chronicling a totally focused, relevant, near-cautionary story. The world building is a considerable aspect, combining advanced science fiction and fantasy with realistic subtext, of global relations and a surprisingly balanced representation of communism. Of course it'd have to be balanced, that's part of the point of communism. The multifaceted political objectives and thought-provoking moral crisis further elevate the film's quality, as do unpredictable plot points, and the aforementioned complex characterization encourages sympathy and doubt in the most seemingly single-minded characters. Even in Single-Minded Man, a superhero exclusively made for this film, he's not really in it. Fight scenes are used sparingly, heightening their impact with their vastness, energy, needed brutality, and suspense. The music is usually grand and professional with obvious Russian flavourings that might have benefited from being strengthened. In fact, there's an extremely low-budget Anastasia film by a now bankrupt animation company that features a really dramatic, badly drawn musical number about rebellion. There's some, however, that maybe even in Russian would have perfectly suited this film's tone. How will the DC animation team ever justify not picking a song from a low-budget Anastasia film from a now bankrupt company? Such an obvious choice. The film is mature, ambitious, inventive, suspenseful, and escalates at a perfectly timed rate. It also features nuanced voice performances and is broadly appealing. While it clearly isn't intended for children due to its high level of violence and complicated themes, in the adult demographic, non-DC fans and DC fans alike are catered for. Fans are likely to appreciate the fact that classic heroes are being presented in an alternative manner, while some of their more recognisable traits are maintained, while non-fans are likely to appreciate the isolated story and engaging historical setting. As for the film's lesser points, they are scarce but present. The art style is suitably serious and enjoyably reminiscent of the Justice League animated series, a point that's also been highlighted by the host of this underrated YouTube channel. Link in the description. But the style is arguably overfamiliar. A more stylised experimental presentation might have better suited a more stylised experimental Superman story such as this. The 3D elements can also be slightly distracting at times. The opening scene featuring a young Superman who, obviously being Russian, is no longer called Clark Kent. They do mention his civilian name once, but I'd rather just think he was named Superman Red Son. Also features some miscasting. The typically brilliant Tara Strong gives him an excessively childlike voice, which is actually a higher pitch than that of his female friend Svetlana, this universe's version of Lana Lang. They could have called Superman Svet Clark. Other than these minor faults, there are very few. The refusal to include Single-Minded Man or a song from a bankrupt animation company's version of Anastasia notwithstanding. Apart from every other strength highlighted, it excellently translates its comic book source material into a new medium, altering certain ideas for a more surprising viewing experience, and crafting a more streamlined narrative, while maintaining the fundamental purpose of Mark Millar's writing. Superman Red Son is highly recommended to anyone open to the concept of superhero animation due to its creative setting, unrestrained conflict and political themes, and will be awarded an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching my video on Superman Red Son. If I don't see you in my next video, I'll assume you're watching that low-budget Anastasia film. Don't. Come now, comrades, taste your freedom. Russia is ours, now savor the power. Drink the wine of revolution, freedom's vintage plucked from the vine.